Four, three, two, one. Hey guys, so this is a little different. And for some of you who come on to watch this may even be new to you, what I'm about to share. But you see in the title, I said this one's for hairstylists and salon owners. So for those of you who are new followers, you may not know that I had a career in the beauty industry for many years prior to coaching and consulting full time. I actually started my consulting business the year before I closed my brick and mortar business. And at that time, when I opened my coaching and consulting business, I didn't take it serious. Now, I don't mean I didn't take the clients that I work with serious, but I didn't take coaching and consulting serious because I didn't understand fully how to monetize it. I just didn't know how it could be a thing for me coming from the beauty industry. And so prior to me coming online, what was happening for me was I was being asked by numerous businesses in my community to help me with their business, to help them with their business. And I was doing that pro bono. I was just, giving the information away. And so many entrepreneurs, right? And I was being asked to do speaking engagements. Like it was just things going on, but I wasn't fully able to see how this was like a thing. And I believe a lot of that reason is because of the industry that I was in. Every industry I feel has a culture, and that culture kind of dictates what people do who are in that particular industry or that particular space. Now, when I started my consulting business, I actually worked with numerous industries. As I shared before, there were many people coming to me before I became official that were from several different industries: magazine owners, photographers, clothing designers, realtors, you name it. Those were the different industries that I was working with prior to me bringing my business online. But once I came online, I needed to find an avenue because there was so much going on so that I could get my center and grounding. And so for some of you, you may remember me coming on and specifically talking to the beauty industry and hairstylists and things of that nature. At this point in time, I've gone full circle and I now work again with many industries: nurses, professors, realtors, tons of different industries. And I'm so grateful for that because I love the variety. But on today, I wanted to share some things, and it was on my heart. I was going to make kind of like a small post. And then I said, no, I feel led to go on and actually have this conversation with you all. And so if you're in the beauty industry, if you're a hairstylist or salon owner, or one, share the video out or tag a friend. I'm sure they will find this information valuable. So what really led me to come on was because I was seeing things, in the industry, and I was in the industry for over 20 years. But I was seeing things in the industry that I saw 20 years ago, and I'm still seeing them now. I actually talked about some of those things about over a decade ago on this video I have on YouTube called Salon Owners Seminar. But I'm still seeing the same things now, right? A decade after that decade. And I just kind of want to talk about it. So I'm going to just kind of jump in and share what I think is really, really important for those of you who are in the hair industry and in the beauty industry, who want your business to grow, your life to grow. You want to make more money, whatever the case may be. You want more time freedom. And because we are entrepreneurs, even when we're in a space where we're a service-based industry, we can oftentimes be fooled into thinking that we own our own time. And it's something that I see that has run rampant in the beauty industry for quite some time, where many people, as entrepreneurs who were offering a service like exchanging their time for dollars, really felt they owned their own time. But in actuality, if they needed to take off or, be out, that was it. There was no money coming from that space because they were the thing that was making the money. They were the person that was making the money. It didn't go down regardless. And I still see that, on today. And I think a lot of it has to do with culture, the culture of the industry. So I have a couple like important things that I want to speak on. Now, I didn't even put this on my business page because I didn't want to confuse, my audience over there, but I did feel led to, kind of tap back in just for a second to share these things with you. So first of all, salon owners, this is number one. Your booth renters are not your employees. I'm going to say this one more time because I know it's not always the easiest thing to hear or to be reminded of. Your booth renters are not your employees. And I share this because there are many salon owners who have a huge desire to build an amazing brand where everything is congruent, where everybody is on one accord, we're wearing uniforms, doing training classes, and all those things. And there are cases where you have booth renters who are willing, Grand Rising, my darling, who are willing to do those things. But at the end of the day, those booth renters, those salon suite owners, they are independent operators. They work for themselves. They are not obligated, nor do salon owners who are renting space to them, nor do they really have the right to tell them they have to wear all black or whatever the case may be because they are booth renters, right? And a huge part of building a brand is consistency. We can think about that when we think about places like Chick-fil-A. Who was I talking to? I was on the phone with my girlfriend from Atlanta the other day, and we were just talking about, she loves Houston's, the restaurant. She's like, I can't do all those other places. It's just, I mean, the service is this or that or whatever. And then we started talking about Chick-fil-A, and I was sharing with her that one of my clients, many years ago, her daughter, one of her first jobs was at Chick-fil-A. And I remember my client sharing with me the strenuous, not hard as in strenuous, but the detailed training program that, all the Chick-fil-A employees had to go through. Now, this has to be true because you can travel to a completely different state. Y'all don't hear me. And it's the same thing. It's the same energy. It's the same, hi, how are you? It's the same kindness. It's the same heart. It's all the things, right? But that's because those are Chick-fil-A employees. And Chick-fil-A has established an amazing training program that all of their employees go through. They have uniforms because they are part of the company. But if you are a salon owner and you have booth renters, they're not your employees. And so your goal and your desire for this amazing brand will often run into, blocks, if you want to, resistance. That's a better word. Because at the end of the day, even if the booth renters say, yeah, we all want to be congruent and let's all dress the same, and even if they agree to that, even if you have in your booth rental contract, it is not required, but we would love to keep the consistency. And if you are willing to wear, even if you put that in the contract or whatever, and I'm not an attorney, okay? I'm not an attorney, guys, right? But I've written many booth rental contracts that I've had approved by attorneys I was working with for my contracts. Even if you put those, so I'm not telling you what to put in your contract, okay? And what I do now when I'm working with people and I write contracts or they use my templates, I always, tell them to contact their attorney to make sure everything is on the up and up. But many of my contracts have been viewed by attorneys. But some of them, it's been years ago, right? So you just may want to check because something may be new. But anyway, even if you were able to get those booth renters to agree, if they just felt like wearing something different tomorrow, They could. They're not obligated. It's not a part of their job because they don't work for you. Lord have mercy. I know it's hard to hear, but that is the case. And a lot of times, I find that salon owners do take on the whole ownership thing in their salon, even when they're renting booths and renting suites. Now, this doesn't mean that you can't establish cleanliness rules and things that are required in order to be able to rent a space there. It doesn't mean that, but there are some other things that you just can't make them do. And training is one of them. Training is one of them. So of course, even if it's a booth rental or salon suite situation that you have, and you like to have a certain type of flow to that particular place, like I want this salon suite to be the place where everyone comes. It can't be generated off of you necessarily telling the salon suite owners or the booth renters what to do. It has to be generated off of the brand that you build. And most people think their brand is their logos, their websites, and their pretty pictures, but it's so much deeper than that. So that's my first thing that I want to share. Is something that I see and I understand it. For those of you who are salon owners, you want that congruency. But if you want that congruency, then you have to ascend. You have to move to a new space where you actually become an employer, right? Where you have employees, where they're filling out tax papers and you do W-2s at the end of, like real employees. It's a different level, and it's a different mindset as well. And in the culture of the beauty industry, it hasn't always been taught, right? I'm so grateful because, listen, I wouldn't have known either, guys, right? But God would so divinely place me in the space of working with my mentor for the beauty industry when I was working in the industry, where I was able to see things done a completely different way. We're talking about someone who owned 9 locations, and not 9 shabby locations, was on BET, trained in Rome, won the hair Olympics back in the day. Her mentors worked at the Madam C.J. Walker beauty schools. That's where they went to beauty. Like, I'm talking about, I just was able to see like the industry on a completely different level. God just divinely placed me there. And my mentor who owned the location that I worked at, because what she would do, she would franchise them out, but she was rarely there. And so of course my mind started clicking like, well, what I never see her. Every now and then she would come in to do like a specific training class, or she might swing by every blue moon, but she had a general manager. And when I tell y'all, we were so busy, but anyway, that's all for another story. But most people, in all honesty, do not get to see that. I mean, we can just keep it real, where the owner is rarely there. Most of the time, what we experience in the industry is the owner, we spin in the chair, and so is the owner, right? And so that ability to be able to expand and see beyond the chair is often not there. And then, a lot of times, even with owning salons where we have booth renters or salon suites now, which is a very popular thing, we don't know the limitations that are there as salon owners. So that's number one. Your booth renters are not your employees. Somebody put that in the comments for me. Your booth renters are not your employees. That might be a little hard to type. The next thing that I want to share is, if you still have to do hair, this may be a little deep, right? But listen, I don't plan on just coming on and only speaking to the industry, because I service so many sectors of the marketplace by way of different business owners. But today I just felt led, it's just on my heart, right? And so if you still have to do hair to pay the bills, y'all hear me, right? Don't shoot the messenger. Do not shoot the messenger, but tap the screen. Thank you for scribing that, Bella. If you still have to do hair to pay the bills, you have created another job for yourself. This is for salon owners. If you still have to do hair to pay the bills, the business that you open is really a new job that you've created for yourself. Nothing wrong with that, right? Because there's still a level of independence that you have as opposed to working a corporate job or somebody else having to tell you to come in. So now there are perks to it. I'm not saying that, but I think it's important that we are extremely clear about what is really going on. And I say that because it can become a trap. Lord have mercy. Do y'all want me to go there today? It can become a trap. So if you still have to do hair to pay the bills, you've created another job for yourself. One of the things I see often when people step out on their own or they I don't know if you guys remember back in 2017, I predicted that 5 years from now, we're in 5 year mark now, right? That a lot of the salon suite things that we were seeing would actually begin transitioning back into more of a salon atmosphere. Anybody else noticing that? Tap the screen if you're noticing that, or put yes in the comments. Now, I don't know which video I said that on, but I remember it being 2017, and I predicted that 5 years from now, the salon suites and things of that nature would be morphing back into more of a salon setting. So we're seeing that now. Many people are wanting to open salons or even become the owner of a salon suite place. But this is a space, and I'm just viewing from the sideline. Right? But this is just what I see transitioning from the sideline, because I still got my eye on you all, right? I still care. I still have some clients that work with me privately who are in the industry. Many of the people that you all see online, whether I've ever announced it or they've ever announced it, have been coached by me in very significant ways that have made pivotal points in their business. So I still have clients from the industry. It's just not the fullness of the people that I serve. So here's why I say a couple reasons why I say it can become a trap. And when I say it, I mean the whole spin in the chair. I don't want to say thing because I'm not downplaying it. There are numerous people who make six figures, multiple six figures, all of that, doing hair. But I say that because what I find a lot is that many people go through burnout. Like once you hit maybe even as early as that 7 year mark, you start feeling like you need to kind of do something different. This may be when people begin to transition over into salon ownership or whatever. And then, maybe 3 more years from that, they start getting this urge again. And after a while, that burnout feeling that I'm not sure this is what I want to do anymore, it becomes more and more frequent, right? And one of the reasons I feel that it becomes more and more frequent is because people aren't ascending. Now, I don't mean that they aren't doing new things or they aren't trying new things. Actually, I see them doing many of the things that, many years ago when I first started out, people were doing. Well, when I started out, there were a lot of salon owners and there were commission salons. So I actually started off in a commission salon. Best thing ever for me. Best thing ever for me, okay? Because and it's so crazy because the salon that I started out in, she was trained by my mentor. So when I left her salon, I didn't know my mentor like that. I just ended up working in her salon, but I find out later that the lady that I used to work with was trained by my mentor. So anyway, I'm just having all these thoughts and feelings come up as I'm sharing now. But I was saying that it can become a trap because the industry pretty much looks the same. And here are some reasons why I think I was able to pivot and pivot and transition a lot quicker than, maybe some others, because I was connected to so many other industries. So my actual clients, right, the relationship that I built with them were in so many other industries, and they had been calling me out to do different things in the community. And so many people from different industries have been asking me to help them with their business when I didn't know I was consulting. Okay. Right. And so my mindset was always on, just business as as a whole. It wasn't until I came online actually that I kind of, set a lane for the industry for a moment, right? I knew that wasn't the fullness of what I would do, but that's when it really happened. Because I was like, okay, I need an audience that I can speak directly to. So the trap. So here's some things that I see. If you have to think about the industry, and most of you will agree, if you agree, put yes in the comments. This is the trajectory that the culture, remember I said culture because the industry is a culture. This is the trajectory that the culture sends you on in the industry. So most people nowadays don't start out as commission. If you're blessed to, I think it's a great opportunity for you. I think it's also a great opportunity for salon owners who are really serious about, how they're going to grow their business, or whatever the case may be, commission or hourly, whatever. But you start off, you go to beauty school, and if you were super popular in beauty school, you will jump straight out there. If your family told you could do hair, you'll jump straight out there, rent a booth. You might even open up a salon, way earlier than you should, so it all depends. But that's the case. And so the goal is then normally to open a salon, right? And most people do that. And then what you find is most people will go and get their instructor's license. Am I running it down, guys? Am I running it down? Because this is the culture. This is the culture that they'll go back to school, spend however many thousands, become an instructor. It's good money. They can have, insurance and things like that, if you didn't have a mentor when you started out, you didn't even think to get some of those things as you were moving along. But that transition, what I see in that, and then the instructors normally still work in their salon 1 or 2 days. Y'all tap the screen. Is this what you all see as well? Is this what you all see as well? And I believe it's a great path for some people, but I believe it's a chosen path for some people that don't really desire it because they didn't have an exit strategy. They didn't have an ascension plan. They didn't have, their mind couldn't see past what the industry normally says, this is what you do next. Now, although a lot of what I'm seeing now looks pretty much like it did 20 years ago, it's dressed up differently now. It's a lot prettier now than it was before. But foundationally, I still see the same thing. So number one, a second reason, that's one of the reasons why I feel it can be a trap if you're not careful, right? But the second reason is it's quick money. It's quick money. Like the dope boys, if we can keep it 100. It's quick money. You can fall off, get back on, go, do a few heads, chase a quick bag, and get straight. So it's quick and easy money. And so it's always like a soundboard for whatever it is that you may have going on. This is one of the reasons I think that's good to be able to do that. I haven't done hair in years now, and I still have people reaching out to me to do hair. So, I could jump back in and get a good bag, right? So it's quick money. It's kind of like that hustle, like equivalent to dope boys. I hate to say that or whatever, but it's quick money, and it can become a trap. But a huge reason why it becomes a trap is because most people don't have, they're not solid enough with what they desire to do next, that there is no plan B. Did that make sense to you all? Put yes in the comments if that makes sense to you all. What I mean by that is the thing that they desire to do, the thing that's really in their heart, they have a plan A, B, C, D, E. It's so many. Like when I transitioned, there was no plan B. I burned the ship. Y'all hear me? There was this story about this general that took his crew. I don't want to say they were in the army, but anyway, they was fighting somebody, right? And they took them to war, and they ended up on this island. And when they got off of the ship, the general said, burn the ship. The only way we leave the island is if we win. So they didn't have any other options or all this other what ifs in their head. That's what I did. I burned the ship. I said no. I made a plan years ago. Now listen, I believe that hair is a great industry to stay in until you retire, if that is what you so desire. But the only reason I'm coming on talking about this today is because I know that's not what many of you really desire. I can hear in your messages and different things that you're tired, but you don't feel you have another option. One, I need you to bring me your mind, because there's an entire realm of new possibility that is available for you, right? So you're not stuck. Let me read this. Bella says, yes, this is why I'm moving into a space of hiring employees. Yes, Bella, as well as generating income outside of me just doing hair. That's so beautiful. I absolutely love it. And yeah, I love it. And so I said it can become a trap because you can only see what you can see. You only see what you can see. You can't see beyond what your eyes, your mind, your heart, your thoughts can see. And oftentimes the culture of the industry, is what you actually see, unless you've been exposed to something else. I'm gonna give you guys an example. So what this was happening while I was a salon owner. I had people asking me to do television shows, like a syndication, like a, weekly thing that I was turning down back to back, right? I had videographers wanting to come and film my salon and make it like this 6-month show or something like that. These are opportunities that were coming up. The Chamber of Commerce in our area asked me to teach a group of budding entrepreneurs for a seed grant program they were doing for the entire city I lived in. I was the entrepreneur that they chose to teach that. These are things that were happening. Remember, I said you can't see beyond what you can see, because y'all stay with me, right? I'm not just sharing my stuff just to share my stuff. I'm making a point with you all. I had an opportunity. Someone came to me to do 25 speaking engagements. 25 speaking engagements. All of these things were transpiring. People from the community were asking me to help them with their business. All of this was going on, but I couldn't see past the chair. I couldn't see past the business that I was in. I hope I'm making sense for you all. I could not see past what I could see, because none of that made sense. I couldn't connect it to what I was doing. Even with consulting. So the word consulting was something that God dropped in my heart during prayer time in 2009. Now, at that time, I had been doing this other stuff that I'm telling you guys about, right? But because I could not see past what I could see, I paid it no mind for 2 years. I found it in my journal, right? But because I couldn't see past what I could see, I didn't bother. I ended up going to this conference, and God just kept sending me stuff, because I ended up flying out to this conference in Florida, a 3-day conference, and it changed my entire life. It's the reason why, other than the word that God dropped, like that seed he planted, the conference was somebody watering it, right? But it's the reason that I coach and consult full time from my home today. Now, what happened, I opened my consulting business before I closed my salon, but I didn't take it serious. I took the clients that I worked with serious, but again, I didn't take it like it was this thing that I could actually move into. It was almost like you feel like you have to have this loyalty, to the industry that is not true, right? Because you are creating your destiny. Now, I am so grateful. And I actually went to college before I even got in the beauty industry. So that's a whole nother story. Psychology and business were my majors. I didn't finish, but whole nother story. But I am so grateful for my time, right, in the industry. Because once I got a bigger vision, everybody that came to me and around me were a part of the vision. Not the vision for hair, but for my destiny. Somebody put destiny in the comments. They were a part of my destiny. So I had attorneys' wives, I had professors, I had doctors, I had stay-at-home moms, I had all types of people. And one day God said, everything you need is right here. He said, you don't have one problem in your life that you can't ask someone you're already connected to. And literally, I could run it down whether it was, I had all, it was right there, right? But see, until you get a vision that's bigger than what you're doing, right? You won't see how the people that you are connected to are there to help catapult you to your next level. I share all the time, relationships are 85% of your success. They're the vehicles to get you to your next level. And so even some of those clients today who are my clients in the industry now come to me for me to help them with their business, from the nursing industry, who are college professors, realtors, photographers, you name it, caterers, designers, all types of industries. Those clients now come to me for support in, turning their intellectual property into something they can monetize, all the things. And so there was a lot of value for me there, but I made myself a promise. I was like, by the time I turn 40, I am not going to have to do this in order to earn money. And I stuck to it. Right now, I didn't know how at that time. I didn't know how that was going to transfer. I didn't know any of that. I just knew I had a vision. And see, most of you haven't gotten fully connected to your vision. You're not fully connected to your vision. It's still a dream. And your dreams are just words and thoughts that are floating around in your mind that are competing with other thoughts. It becomes a vision when you begin to embody it, right? When you begin to, hey, Felicia, how are you, dear? You start noticing the things that are around you that are actually connected to what it is you really desire, right? A vision will call you forth. A vision will pull you through adversity. A vision will develop you. A vision will empower you for that thing that's bigger than who and where you are, because your vision is always a lot further than where you are now. But if you stay in the trap, I feel it's a trap because I see people 55, 60, no harm, no foul, right? Who are still doing something they no longer want to do because they don't think it's another option. They don't believe it's another option. And remember, I said, it's quick money. It's easy money. But you have to expand your mind in order to get out of the trap. So, it wasn't until I made coaching and consulting real. How did I make it real? I went to a conference. I invested in making that real. Instead of spending my money in the industry that I wanted to transition out of, right? Of course, I was still doing upkeep for my clients and the place that I was at. I spent money on things that would get me where I desired to go. And what I see is most people will continue to invest on the level, at the level, in the thing that they're already doing with a desire to go further than that. So I made it real for me. I fully embraced, I fully embodied what it was that I desired to do. And that's when I transitioned full time. It was like, oh, I done sat on this like 5 years. And when I fully embraced it, which was maybe about 5 years after opening my consulting business, and I was doing work part-time because at that point I started getting paid. Like, I didn't know the value of the things that I was doing in the community, and I started charging at that time. But it still took me 5 years to come to the realization that although I was saying I wanted to do this one thing, my energy was still on the chair. Does this make sense to you guys? And so you will still continue to get results from the chair, right? So you need a vision beyond spinning the chair. This is only for those, I know people are at different phases in their career, but I know the people that I'm called to, this message resonates like completely and fully. Um, the culture, as most have seen it, the owner is still spinning the chair. Can we be real? The owner is still spinning the chair, or the owner is the only one spinning the chair, or the owner is the only one spinning the chair. And we'll take this back to the reality we have to step into that says we really have created another job for ourselves. Like, at what point do we get more people in the salon? You know, like, does it really even make sense? The overhead and all of those other things, like, we have to make it make sense, because business does make sense. It does make sense. Unless you're in a space that's just so economically, great that, renting a space, a chair somewhere, or a salon suite wouldn't even make sense because it would be comparable. I get that, right? But let's do some math really quick. And I've been talking mostly for salon owners, but I'm going to tap into a couple things for hairstylists as well. So first of all, the goal is to work yourself out of a job. Even if you come back on a replay, put that in the comments. Work yourself out of a job. And you do that by becoming a bigger, higher version of yourself, having a vision bigger than where you are. One of the things my mentor shared with me, because she had hired over 1,500 employees. This is what I came from under. Not booth renters, employees over the years throughout multiple locations. She told me, she said, your best staff, hear me guys, is going to leave. Unless you have a plan of, elevation for them in your space. But more than likely, the people who do the best work, who are timely, they're going to leave because they already have a vision that's bigger than being there. Unless, of course, your company is so large, it provides opportunity for them. And for her, it was, when people got to a certain space, she opened a location, asked if they were interested in franchising. So there was a bigger space for them, right? So she wasn't just talking to me, just saying things. She was walking that thing out and telling me from experience. And so that way I knew that I had to continue growing in order to keep people there. One, I had to learn to hire. Like my first year, I thought people didn't want to work, but I had to become a better leader. Many of you may remember I have a new hire bundle. Many of you probably have. That's what that was generated from, right? Where I talk about, the hiring practice. Once I learned to hire differently, man, I had an amazing staff that were with me for many years consistently. I mean, I could leave. I mean, it was really, really good, but I had to learn to hire differently. So the goal is to work yourself out of a job. Let's do some math really quick. So when you add up all of the booth rent that you get from the people that work in your space, right? And you still have to do hair in order to maintain your lifestyle, you still have a job for yourself. Like it has to make, it needs to make sense as well. Because, and the reason I'm sharing this is because it's energy when we work with people, right? It's energy when we have to work around people's life circumstances and life issues and things like that. But if you do the math and it isn't making it so that you can not have to do hair, there may be a different option, like hiring employees, or, you stepping into, coaching, teaching, training, something of that nature, where, because it's just like, I ain't getting ready to be babysitting all these people and I still got to do hair. Okay. So here's some things you need. Number one, you need a retirement plan. And I don't mean retiring from behind a chair, because we say that really, really loosely. I mean like an IRA. Um, actually, one of the ladies I worked with early in my career introduced me to that. One of my mentors gave me a book on finances many, many years ago when I worked with her. So this is the, when I think about those things, I'm blessed. I was blessed to have coaches and mentors whose presence I was able to be a part of, to guide me in different things. So I mean like retirement plan for real. Like, corporate has 401k. So IRA, need a retirement plan. Number two, you need an exit strategy. You need an exit strategy. And many people will exit and maybe go back to school. I'm not saying anything is wrong with that, but now they have student loans. They don't end up really even working in that particular field. And I think this happens, or I know this happens, is because there wasn't a real vision that was connected to it. So it's not like they went back to school to align with this bigger vision that they have, but they went back to school to say, okay, well, let me go do this. Right? I'm gonna go back to school. It's like this thing in the Western culture that we kind of run to when we really haven't got, when we're not connected to a real vision, like a personal vision, when we aren't divinely connected to our destinies. School is always an option, right? And many people choose that, but they don't even use the degree. They don't even end up using degree. They just go get another education and go get another um, bill that they're paying for into their 50s and 60s, and getting deferments and all those things, right? So anyway, I said you need a retirement plan, you need an exit strategy. So one of the things, my exit strategy for me, and I hope this will help to make it easier for those of you. This is only for those of you who are in that position. You're burnt out, you're tired. You're like, look, I don't feel I have another option. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do. I have this thing that I want to do. I mean, I just don't know, because I haven't seen anybody around me do this. Most of the people that consider themselves retired still come back and kind of, spin the chair a little bit or whatever. I was thinking about this the other day. I was listening to, I don't know if you saw my stories, but I showed like my view for the day. So I was sitting out by this lake. It was beautiful. It was in the back of a community. There was a walking trail, just my type of thing, right? And I was thinking, I said, what is it that I did that I think has helped me some in exiting, from the industry? One, I had really low debt. I didn't have any. No, like I've been financing my own cars myself, buying my cars straight out. I think I paid my last car payment in '99, and it's not that I haven't had another car since then. I've had several, but I would just pay for them in cash. Now this next car I want, I'm like, whew, okay. But that has definitely made it easier for me. I'm so glad, because I also went through a divorce and had so many other things to happen where it still allowed me to maintain at least my minimal lifestyle during those transitional times, if that made sense. So that was one thing. Number two, it really allowed me to be able to invest in myself on a really, higher level, where I could get information that would collapse time for me, right? It would like literally collapse time for me. And I know me, even if I wasn't debt free, that's the route that I would have taken, right? Like, why am I going to spend years trying to figure something out when someone else knows it? I can get the information, and in a year or two, something that would have took me 10 years. So that is my mindset, period. Like, even when I got married, I was like, we need a housekeeper. My ex at that time was like, well, this house ain't big enough but it wasn't about that. It was just, I use my money to buy time for me, because it's the one thing that we can't get back. And so many people take time for granted, and they wake up and they're like, oh, I'm still doing this. right? So I use my money to buy time for me, right? So that's another thing. Um, what else was an advantage for me? So another advantage for me was something my mentor told me. She said, your clientele is a reflection of who you are. Your clientele is a reflection of who you are. So if they're late all the time, if they're barely showing up, if they're, struggling to pay you, canceling, all of those things, it's normally a mirror. It's normally a mirror. And I say that because there was a time where um, I remember like my clients were canceling and not showing up, and um, just the issues that people have. And for me, now I've always been timely for work. I don't know where that even came from. Like I used to drive like an hour and a half to get to work, and I was never late. They gave me an award for that. So I don't know where that part came from. But where I was getting my clientele from was a difference, because I was partying and clubbing and, all of that back then. And that's where I was passing out my business card. And, if we are both at the club and it's 4 or 5 o'clock, and she has a 7 o'clock with me, she might not have been as mindful to maybe not have as many drinks or whatever. She just cancel, right? Or if, her lifestyle may have been, and this was at that time, no judging, right? Where the man in her life might have got locked up. I mean, listen, we're talking about the industry here. So I'm not talking about anything cuckoo or crazy because of who I'm speaking to. Then she wasn't able to come to me to get her hair done anymore because the person that was paying for it not around. So I remember, my mentor had told me that your clientele is a reflection of who you are. But at the time that she told me, I wasn't having those issues. And about 2 years later, I started noticing that I was, that's when I started creating cancellation fees and all those different things. But if you got like a true canceller, they don't care nothing about your fee. You just out a fee, right? But it was a mirror check for me. And at that time, I said, okay, I'm going to go back to my foundation. I'm articulate. I speak well. I'm traveled. And I just began really up-leveling who I was, and my entire clientele changed. And so whether you are a hairstylist, maybe you're an entrepreneur and you're not in the beauty industry, I'm coming back to you all because I just took a break to just speak to stylists and salon owners. But our clientele is a reflection of who we are. And this is why I say it's so important. If you want your business to grow at profound levels, you have to work on yourself, because people are mirroring back to us all the time who we are being. If you're late all the time, your clients are probably late all the time. And although you get mad at them for being late, it's probably because you haven't been on a self-aware journey that says, hey, you know what? I'm late for everybody else and everything else too. And one of the things, remember I said time is something that we cannot get back. And when you begin to value time differently, one, you will pay to become more skilled at what it is that you do, because you can do it quicker, sooner, faster. That's number one. Remember I said I use my money to buy me time. Number two, when you really begin to value time and you don't want to be in there 50 hours out of the day, you begin to practice things differently. You put systems in place. You have policies and procedures, and you will attract a different type of person just off of that, just off gate, right? Shiana, how are you, darling? Thank you for joining. So those were some things that I feel, really helped me. Oh, this last thing that I think is really, really important. So we have, like, if it's something we're wanting to transition into, what I find that most people have is this really big astronomical number that they want to reach before they do it. Listen, everybody's comfort zone isn't the same. I'm a faith girl, right? And so, I don't know. My faith is just really, really high. Like I'm also a believer. And I believe the word of the Lord. Now, it doesn't mean that I don't count the cost, because scripture also say count the cost. Somebody tap the screen and say count the calls. Right? So it doesn't mean that I'm not taking calculated risk, but I just believe the glory to glory to glory part of my destiny and my evolution, that I'm not always supposed to stay the same, and I get in alignment with that, right? But what I will say is I figured out what the minimum amount was that I would need for me and my daughter to be straight, still have some money, outside of bills or whatever, but not my astronomical figure. And then I burned the boat. I burned the boat. I burned the boat. Because, as long as I was straddling the fence, wherever you put your efforts towards, your energy towards, that's where you get results from. And because I've walked this out several times in my life, where wherever I put my energy, that's where I get my results from. I knew that that's a principle that just works in your entire life. It's actually from the reaping and sowing principle, right? To the measure that you sow is also the measure that you reap. So if you sow sparingly, you just gonna get a little bit here or there, right? But the bigger you sow, the bigger the return, or whatever you sow is what you reap. It's all from, that particular principle. So I said some things that you need. Number one, you need a retirement plan. I'm talking about IRA, like a real retirement plan, not, oh, I'm retired from here. Number two, an exit strategy. And if you really, really want to be connected to destiny, you need an ascension plan. An ascension plan. That's when you're continuously ascending. You're just, quantum leaping and doing things of that nature. I have an ascension plan. That's what I'm rocking out, an ascension plan. Hairstylist, because that was kind of like for salon owners, but you guys need that as well. You need a strong brand. A strong brand. Not logos, websites, pretty pics, not it's just not what most people think. It's just not what most people think. But you need a strong brand. Number two, you need to simplify. You need to simplify. A lot of the work I do with my clients helps them simplify to the point where they begin to master something, right? Where they really begin to master something until the point that they absolutely stand out in that space, right? And then you need to identify your perfect people. Hey, Sharonda, darling, you need to identify your perfect people. Every client that's worked with me in any form or fashion, we identify their perfect people. I teach them how to simplify. They always scale. Many of them have been on this broadcast. They always scale from that place. And so my heart was just for the industry. I was going to make a little post, and I was like, no, I'm going to go on and talk about it. And I do have ways that I can support you, whether it's in your retirement plan. I can connect you with people, but I also teach a Get Your Money, Get Your Life financial course, an exit strategy, or an ascension plan. I have my exceptional mastermind for those of you who are wanting to tap into your ascension plan, where we turn your gifts, talents, and expertise into money, right? You can go to renewfullcircle.com/E2022, renewfullcircle.com/E2022, to apply for that particular mastermind. It is a 6-month opportunity to work with me. It is a premium offer. And then I have my 3D Success Academy, which is a 12-month opportunity for you to get your whole life, business, brand, relationships, mindset, inner work, the whole nine. And so each month you get a new topic, and you get weekly trainings on that topic. And then at the end of the month, you coach with me live. And you'd be surprised at what you see transpire in your life in just 1 year. And that's 3D Success Academy. That link is renewfullcircle.com/3DA2022. renewfullcircle.com/3DA2022. And I'll leave all of that at the top of the broadcast, so that it's just clickable for you, or in the comments. But that's my take. on today. I see a lot of people who I can tell they feel trapped. They're not certain. And I wanted to encourage you that there is more beyond the chair if that's what you desire. There is more for you, right? And it doesn't mean you selling out, on the industry. I know we can build relationships with clients that, it's kind of hard to let go, right? Even after I stopped doing people, I still had about 4 people that I just like it was a struggle for me to let them go. It wasn't even making financial sense because I was driving from another town. It was just, what was valuable though was they were so amazing and there were so many connections and the energy and different things like that I gained from still being, connected to them. And then some of them are now my clients in my coaching and consulting business. I'm Tanya Wilson Cherry. I'm a master life and business coach. I help women get their whole life, right? I help them step into a space of abundance mindset, personal growth, and business building. We get our whole life to the full. I love the opportunities to support you. If something I said spoke to you, it registered for you, and you're uncertain about which way working with me would be best for you, you can always message me here and we can hop on a call and talk about it. But that's my take. The industry is an amazing industry, huge space of opportunity. But many of you have gifts that grow you beyond the industry. And if you're ready to ascend, I'd love to support you in that. So you guys have a super, super blessed, amazing day. It will probably be forever before I come back on to do a broadcast just for the industry, because as I said, I help, so many different industries at this point, but I do still have clients in the industry. That's my take on today. You guys be blessed. Peace.